when I was on the start line of that race, there were the women who had those athletic bodies. There were women who were like really strong. They were best of the runners from different countries. And I was like, where have I landed myself? When I started with half marathons and then I came to full marathons. If you see me, I don't have an athletic body. I really don't have an athletic, and it is not body shaming. It's just how I am built. However hard I train, how disciplined I don't get the calf muscles. So there were like 25 of us on the start line for the 6 days. There was a 10 days happening and there was a 72 hours happening, and there were many other formats happening. But out of those 25 days, I just wasn't competing with women out there. I was also competing with men. I'm very competitive. Very competitive. At times I have to just pinch myself and like, okay, Meenal, that's okay.
Six days, 144 hours, 680 plus kilometers. Meet ultra woman Meenal Kotak. Welcome, Meenal.
Thanks a lot, Shaili, for inviting me here.
Why do you run, Meenal? And why do you run so much?
If you ask me, I really don't have an answer to it. But thinking about it, running is liberating. One, and it gives me happiness and satisfaction which is unparalleled. I don't get it anywhere, which actually, you know, that the feeling of happiness, the feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of finishing a task, which I get when I finish a run.
As an ultra woman, you know, doing this 6-day run of 682 odd kilometers in a stadium, firstly, why was this the goal? Why did you choose this in Milwaukee as one of your goals? And how did you go about strengthening for it?
So, first of all, the sad side of it, in India, we do not have many multi-day events. The events which go beyond 24 hours are known as multi-day events. And of course, I had a long-term dream that, you know, I don't see many ultra runners, forget about men and women, doing multi-day races because we don't have it in India. So, of course, you have to venture out and we have to do it in Europe or in US. First of all, I wanted to figure out as to where do I stand there, will I be able to do it. 6 days has a very long story to ultra running, and I really wanted to see if I fit into it, because somehow I feel after 6 days the next goal would be 10 days, and of course that would be next year. So, that is one of the practical choices to go out of India, do it in Milwaukee. That was one of the event in June where I could have a crew to myself, my husband was around, we could have a holiday post that. And it is one of the indoor stadiums wherein the temperatures are maintained at 6 degrees, which feels like 0 degrees for the crew, because it's 24/7, a skating rink where the temperatures are at 6 degrees. I saved myself. Of course, there's a trade-off because you feel claustrophobic in that kind of indoor stadium, but that was a trade-off because you save yourself from the weather conditions. Plus, it's a very well-known USATF certified course, well-known course. Many multi-day runners come there, and hence the choice was very clear for me.
So, even as you look at ultra running as you know, as a sport, you know, there must be something about it that centers you, because it's one thing to do this for a tournament or an event,
right,
but it's another thing to see you run literally 4-5 hours a day. I mean, how much? Every time I look out, I see the world's moving to doing various things, but Meenal is just running, and she's running, and she is running.
Yeah. So, I think first of all, knowing your limits and enduring it, and then checking it if you can go beyond those limits, is something which just attracts me. And as a runner, when I started, like if you go back in the hindsight, when I started with half marathons and then I came to full marathons. Then I realized that India doesn't have many ultra women. Forget, India didn't have ultra runners in those days. I'm talking about 2016-17. So, and then I realized there's a dearth of Indian women doing ultras. And that's where I decided to, you know, venture into ultras and see if it was like really something which captivates me and keeps me going. And I realized that, you know, this is the sport which just helps me get going and helps me, it gives, the way I told you, it gives me that satisfaction and peace which nothing else.
So a lot of runners are watching this interview.
Yeah.
And of course, now running has so many kinds of running in India. But very, very important for runners is what they eat, how much they sleep, and how much more they can run.
Right.
How does this entire piece run for you?
I think nutrition is very important.
What do you do?
I'm good with my protein intake. I make sure that I'm a vegetarian, but I make sure my protein intake is taken care of. And of course, with ultras, we really have to carb load a lot. But of course, then I think then protein has to be in place, and your vitamins have to be in place, and your entire electrolyte process has to be in place. Otherwise, you'll cramp and you'll not be able to take it to the next day. Sleep, oh my God, I had a sleepless 6 days now. In those hours of 144, I think, my Sachin, who was my crew, he tells me that I would have slept some 12 to 14 hours in 144 hours. So almost like 2 hours a day. I was sleepwalking, I was sleep running, but then I know that, during the training, I would have slept like 8 to 10 hours every bloody day to take care of my recovery, to be okay to go back and run the next day. Training is essentially important. I think they say, talent is cheap and discipline is expensive. To be like there bloody every day with the same boring routine, with the same boring plan, and doing it every day just makes you sharper and brighter and better as a runner. And I think there's no replacement to training. It has to be discipline and training and perseverance which keeps us going. And as Asians, as Indians, I think when I was on the start line of that race, there were the women who had those athletic bodies. There were women who were like really strong. They were best of the runners from different countries. And I was like, where have I landed myself? I was like really scared.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing which I had which they didn't have was Indian resilience. the gisna. So I think that just helped me take over the lead, or whatever you would say. And it was good to compete with men over there. So there were like 25 of us on the start line for the 6 days. There was a 10 days happening, and there was a 72 hours happening, and there were many other formats happening. But out of those 25 days, I just wasn't competing with women out there. I was also competing with men. Of course, there were 2 men who took the lead, and I was the 4th in the overall category. But it was a good challenge, and it was I really endured it and really enjoyed it.
So, a lot of women who watch runners and they keep thinking, yeah, is my body made for running? How can I run? I have to be fit to run. Are these myths? Because somewhere you have to start, right?
Yeah. So if you see me, I don't have an athletic body. I really don't have an athletic, and it is not body shaming. It's just how I am built. However hard I train, however disciplined I don't get the calf muscles. And people would train for a month and they have those calf muscles. So, and I always had this feeling, that somewhere I am like a total misplaced to the runners community. But at the end of it, it's just going there, being there, and starting it one day. And I think everything comes along with that. So I think there is no right time to start. Just go and start. Wear your shoes, be there, start your run. And I think I think also groups play a very important role. If you join a group, that helps you keep going, and they pull you out from your boredom, help you get disciplined. So just start, I think, and whatever you like. I mean, I being a runner always advocate for running, but there would be other sports as well. So you just have to be there, be on the start line, and the rest of the things will follow.
Yeah, but is it more encouraging for you, Meenal, to have goals as events? Because that way perhaps you train more in a routine?
Yeah. So I think every event I'm ending, in the end, after the last few hours, I'm just thinking about my next goal. And that helps me going. Like now I know what is the next goal, and where would I be placed, and how would the training fold and unfold.
Yeah.
So that gets you a clarity, and I think it's always better to have, and I think it's not only for running, I think it's for everything in life. If you have a set goal, then you start training and planning accordingly.
Do you feel the weight of responsibility each time you go back, feeling like, oh my God, I can't do less than what I've done before?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, with this event, if I would have done a 700 kilometers, it's a 680 point something. So last day, on the 5th day, my husband Sachin was telling me he had digged the Excels and the data on the internet, and he was telling me, if you cross 700, you will be all India, in the world ranking, will be like there in the first 10. I knew I wouldn't be able to do it. So then, he kept on telling me, then it would be the Asia number, whatever, right? So I think these numbers at times really pull you towards your goal. Post the event, you always have the regrets, right? You in the hindsight, you always think, if I would have done that. Now it's like 680 and 700 is just a 20 kilometers. Over a span of 6 days, it would have been hardly 3 kilometers. 3.5 kilometers. If I would have done 3.5 kilometers, I would have crossed the 700. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. But there's always a regret, or whatever you would call it. But then that's how it is. Yeah.
Is there an age people should start running at?
No. I see people at the age of 84. Recently, I saw somebody in Milwaukee Stadium setting a world record at the age of 84. When I see those guys, I'm like, if they can do it, why can't we do it?
When did you start?
I started when I was 35.
35?
Yeah, I started running my first road race at the age of 35.
Wow. Some people would say that's when most people end.
Yeah.
So how come at 35, and I don't know what's your age today, it would be interesting to know that journey.
Yeah, so I'm 44 right now, and last 10 years, whatever you say. I was always a gymmer. I used to go to the gym, run like 10 kilometers on a treadmill, and thrice a week or 2 times a week, and just get over with it, and it's done. Somebody actually acknowledged in the gym and said that, why don't you go and do a Delhi half marathon? I ran that marathon, and I was one of the sub 2s there, half marathon, which used to be considered it's like a prestigious thing to do a sub 2. And post that, I think the race ended and a journey started, and I know after that I started doing a lot of half marathons and then a full marathon. And then when I realized that, there's a dearth of people doing ultras, that's where I dig the data, and I realized there were hardly like handful of women doing ultra events in India. And then I was like, why don't I try that? And as the luck would have had it, in 2017, I started running in 2014 end, 15 beginning. 17, we had this federation from India sending the women from India for the World Championship 24 hours. Being a part of the World Championship, wearing your national vest, standing there at the start line gives you a sense of pride, which I think nothing in the world, it's not comparable. Wearing a national vest is incomparable. So I think that gave me an edge and a platform to take it forward from 24 hours to 48 hours and 72 hours, and then
144 hours,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But with running comes conviction and discipline.
Yeah.
But also this can get injured, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you deal with that, and why do you think you've not moved away from this because of the many difficult injuries that you've gone through?
I call strengthening as mother-in-law of running. Okay. I was always low on strengthening and more on running when I got injured, and that was 2019, and I was like really badly injured for 3 years. Like I had a very bad phase, and again it was not only physically, it was mentally also. So imagine somebody who's like there, all of a sudden the limelight is gone, and you're part of the championship, you have to withdraw your name from the championship. It took a toll on me and my mental health. But then guess, you realize from your mistakes, you recollect as to what had happened and what you didn't do right and what went wrong, and you start working on it. So I think a lot of support from the family at that time helped me come back to normalcy. A lot of strengthening, a lot of yoga, a lot of flexibility and mobility exercises, and it took me almost 4 years to come back to ultra running again after 2019. But then yes, I'm here, done a 6 days post that, and happy on that.
Yeah. To both women and men watching you, who say, okay, Meenal, let us be inspired by you and start today. What's your advice?
Don't procrastinate. Just start. Just wear your shoes and start. Tomorrow morning is the right time to start. Just go there and start.
What's your dream run?
4,800 something, which is 3,100-mile race in New York for 52 days, which happens in April, and it's a run by invitation. I have to keep doing a lot of 6 days and 10 days and performing very well over a few years to get an invitation to it. I might get, I might not get, but I would strive hard and work hard to get that invitation.
That's amazing. When you're running, what are you thinking about?
I just think for initial 2-3 hours and then I'm zoned out, and I really don't know what's happening around. I do hallucinate. In this 6 days run, I was hallucinating. There was a board where there was a girl running. I saw that girl running with me and talking to me during those 6 days in between. I kept on telling myself this is hallucination, but that girl kept on coming. But that was hallucination. What do I think for the first 2-3 hours? A lot of stuff actually. During the training runs, it could be even my mother-in-law or my mother or my father or my family or the mates in the house or what has to be cooked. But during the event, I try to have a lot of conversation with the co-runners. Initial 3, 4, 5, 6 hours till the time I have a lot of energy. That keeps me going and gets me positive vibes from them. So,
what's your next big goal?
It will be 10 days next June and would like to cross 1,000 kilometers.
Is there anything I should have asked you but I haven't and you'd like to tell our viewers?
I'm very competitive, very competitive. It's good in one sense. My coach keeps telling me just you have to keep the competition down, but then I think I'm extremely competitive. At times I have to just pinch myself and like, okay Meenal, that's okay. But over there also, when this girl who was setting the record, there was this, I am the second in the 144 hours, that this girl was setting a record, that was Meg Eckert. I was like, why am I not Meg? Why can't I be as efficient as she is? And I was like, there's a lot to learn, and I think next time probably I'll be a better version of myself and commit less mistakes and get going in a better way and a better mileage.
Congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks a ton.
Bye.